Story 1. The company I work for is contracted with a major state agency in the Western US. My clients are children. As part of my contract, I have to visit the children in their homes. Their caregivers/parents/whatever have nothing to do with me and have to put up with me at the same time. No, I don't work for the Department of Child Safety. So I understand. It sucks having people in your home, spending time with kids you are taking care of. But literally, these caregivers go to training and voluntarily sign up for this job. They know the routine. They know the questions I have to ask. They know I have to see the children in the home once a month. The caregivers get paid to do this. But I have one caregiver. Oh God, do I despise seeing her. She has an annoying name, and the only way I get through seeing her most months is by trying to imagine her getting off the couch. No, seriously, I've never seen her move from that spot on the couch. She finally almost broke my professional wall. Guys, oh internet strangers, here goes. Things she's done. I live 3 hours away from her residence. 4 times I have scheduled. Called the day before to confirm. Called from the road to confirm. Only to show up and her or the children not be there. Okay? Cost my company thousands. Drove for 6 hours for absolute nonsense. She has called my boss and complained that the questions I was asking were against HIPAA policy. She signed a consent to treat with HIPAA policy there. She has to be reminded of each visit. Called my boss and said I was spreading rumors her house is a dump because my company received a tip she was moving, and I had to ask her about it. She seriously went on and on how the whole town, my town, not hers, was talking about her. Called my boss and told her I was not allowed to talk to the children out of her hearing. Big red flag. But the latest and best, oh God, still makes me do a bitter piss chuckle. I wake up in the morning, I'm to drive to her residence and see a text from her. Let's just call her Lady Sparkle. Lady Sparkle, if I ordered something from Bath and Body Works in your town, would you pick it up and bring it to me? I actually typed the phrase, no, I don't work for you. I don't care about you. I care and work for the children. I am not your secretary. I actually like my job, so before sending that, I deleted it. I texted back. Unfortunately, contractually my company cannot accommodate your request. Then I called my boss and had a good laugh. Still kinda pissed though. Edit to answer questions. She has pushed my buttons other ways, but that's another long story. The children are well cared for in her care. They go to school, go to doctor's appointments, and live in a nice clean home. Like I said, she's just annoying and immature. She has been pushed off on me because she is racist and has run off my other coworkers. As to the thousands of dollars, my company doesn't actually get paid for my services if I don't actually see the children in the home. In the home is important. She has told me several times just to go to their schools. My company gets $5,000 per client. If I don't see the clients, the company loses that money. Plus the rental car money, gas money, my lunch, my hourly wage. I hope I addressed everything. Oh wait, yes, if she was one of my more respectful caregivers, I would have probably done her the favor. She is not. Plus, it's the holidays, which means I'm super busy at work and in home life. Bath and Body Works is a 30-minute drive for me, plus parking, walking in your store, waiting. I just wasn't willing to make the time for someone who constantly disrespects my time and my company's time. Story 2. So this happened last Saturday. I work at a mobile COVID testing site for the county. Usually, we set up in a church parking lot or something, and customers pull up in their cars and we talk to them through their closed window. But it's not unusual to get members of the public who are just curious what we are doing, or that think we are giving out vaccines, or that we are a food bank, which, by the way, if you are lucky enough to not need a food bank at the moment, then you should donate. We see a lot of them, and they are always packed. So we have cones set up between our trucks to create a lane, and if you work registration, you usually do an hour shift at a time. We weren't very busy, no cars in line. It was my last shift before we had to pack up, and I was sitting at the registration Reggie shack. I go to toss something in the trash. and I see this green car pull up perpendicular to the lane of cones. I start pointing to the lane, trying to let this old Karen know where to go. She pulls up right near me, maybe 20 feet away, and rolls down her window, which is kinda annoying since we have to tell half our patients not to do that. But I'm like, whatever, let's just get her in line, and then I'll tell her to keep her windows up. So I say to her, the line is right here, pull into it and come up to this cone. Karen, what? The line. Are you not here to get tested? No, I am looking for information on the church services. Oh, well, we are with County Name Public Health. This is a COVID testing site. A what? A COVID testing site. We aren't with the church. She furrowed her eyebrows and said the word like she hadn't heard it before. COVID? Oh, you know, I would never catch anything like that. You see, I am immune because I have good chemistry in my blood. My ancestors were exposed to the bubonic plague, and we are protected against it and couldn't get sick. And my great-grandfather was exposed to the bubonic plague in 18-something date, and he had 2 kids born in 19-something and 1922. Basically, she goes on and on about her family lineage for longer than my patience would allow me to follow, but I stood silently and waited for her to stop talking. After maybe 2 minutes, she does, and I'm like, "That's nice, ma'am, but as I said, we aren't with the church. If you are here to ask about them, they should be in that building over there." At this point, she gets out of her car, which is a big no-no. I got the first dose of my vaccine around Christmas, so I wasn't afraid of catching it, but she wasn't wearing a mask, and we can't have randos out and about the site, especially without one, because some of our newer staff haven't been vaccinated. If we become spreaders, it subverts what we are doing, and also because it looks bad to the public when they see people without masks hanging out. Me, ma'am, this is a testing site. You have to stay in your car. Her, I would never catch any of this stuff, and I'm just going to summarize her major points, but she ranted about how she had survived to be such and such old and all sorts of things, including being beaten by police. This lady was white, by the way. At this point, it was nearly the end of my shift, and she wasn't listening, so I grabbed my radio and said, "Hey, sheriff's deputy's name, can you come over here?" She went on and on about how the police cracked her head open and they had her handcuffed and she was bleeding a lot. One of my coworkers, Garrett, who was on the next shift, saw her because she had parked next to his car and was like, "Ma'am, what is the actual problem?" And I guess I hadn't noticed that she was yelling and gesticulating. The 2 sheriff's deputies have pulled up, and she's still going on about how her German grandpa had worked on the atomic bombs for the Americans after the war, and even invented a cure for cancer before being invited by the King of Hungary himself to come to his country and blah blah blah. But I'm not racist because I am half Jewish. At this point, the charge nurse comes up with a yellow mask for her and tells me to give it to her, and the 3 people from the next shift and standing nearby wondering what's going on. Garrett is still trying to figure out what the issue is, and the sheriff's deputies are all trying to be polite but also trying to interrupt her. And she goes on like this for seriously 10 minutes, before finally the deputies start ordering her back in her car. Meanwhile, I am kinda just laughing and everyone is exasperated, and I am trying to explain to the nurse what is happening. Finally, I think one of the deputies told her to get out or get arrested, and she gets back in her car. She drives off around the truck I drive for the unit, where there is no exit, and the cops are trying to ask me what exactly happened. But she stops at a part near where the lanes end and the hot zone is, and so they move to shoo her off again. But she finally just drives over a cone and goes on her way. The site manager, who had been in the bathroom, finally comes out, and I have to tell him, "Man, you totally missed it." Story 3. Cast. Me, entitled brat, nice kid, random kid. My dad, entitled father of the entitled kid. Backstory. This happened about 5 years ago when I was 10. I usually rode my bike whenever it wasn't too hot outside. And if you know Florida, you know it's either summer or extra hot summer most of the time. I liked riding around the neighborhood and meeting other kids who were out playing. The story. One day, I was playing basketball with some kids and getting to know them when an unfamiliar face appeared. The entitled brat. Entitled brat? Who is this? Nice kid, this is Tim. I've changed the name for privacy. Entitled brat? Oh, hi Tim. Me. Hi, what's your name? Entitled brat. My name is Trevor. Me. Well, hi Trevor. Do you want to come over and hang out with me and my friends? Trevor. Sure. At this point, he didn't seem entitled yet, but that changed once he got to my house. So we all chatted, watched television, and did the usual friend stuff. I actually felt like we were getting along pretty well. After about an hour, all of my friends left except for Trevor. Then Trevor's eyes landed on my tablet. Trevor, cool tablet. Before I knew it, he put it into his backpack. Me, what are you doing? Trevor, my dad said I can have whatever I want, so I want this. Now, this kid was about 13, yet he still referred to his dad as daddy and spoke like a 6-year-old. Me, well, that kind of attitude will get you in trouble someday, and it won't be my fault. I immediately called my dad. Me, hey Dad, this kid is stealing my stuff. Dad, leave, please. Trevor, no, my electric scooter is dead. I checked it right in front of my dad and Trevor. Me, no, it isn't. Trevor, okay, bye. My dad went inside, but Trevor turned off his scooter about 50 feet away and came back saying, Trevor, okay, now it's dead. I looked for a switch and said, I found it. It still works. Leave. He finally left, but not for long. Somehow, he came back through the spider-infested woods behind my house and entered the backyard. At some point, he even walked in through the garage door. I have no idea how I didn't notice. When I saw him again, he was walking out of the garage with my phone, my tablet, and my PlayStation 3. The console was what gave him away. It was the older, heavier model. Me, what are you doing with my PlayStation? Trevor, what? It's mine from home. I ran to check my setup, and sure enough, mine was gone. I got my dad immediately. My dad came out, showed Trevor his badge, and said firmly, give it back. Trevor nervously replied, okay, take your silly PlayStation. My dad noticed my phone and tablet sticking out of Trevor's bag. Dad, give it all back. Trevor, okay? Are you going to arrest me? Dad, no, but you need to leave. Trevor, okay. Trevor was in the garage when I didn't realize it, and after we cleaned up the mess he made, I picked up a bat just in case. Out of nowhere, Trevor jumped out and scared me so badly I almost swung the bat. He screamed, oh, you hit me, even though I hadn't actually touched him. Dad, I thought I told you to leave. Trevor, but he hit me. Dad, no, he didn't. If he had, you'd be out cold. Trevor then grabbed my bike and rode off only to return 2 minutes later. At that point, my dad called Trevor's father using the number Trevor had given earlier. The entitled father arrived, picked up his son, and that's when this unbelievable conversation happened. Trevor, Daddy, that kid over there had a really cool Xbox, and I want it. Yes, he called my PlayStation an Xbox, even after I clearly said it was a PlayStation. Entitled father, okay, I'll go get it. He turned to my dad and said, so your son stole my son's Xbox? Dad, my son doesn't even have an Xbox. Entitled father, he probably hid it in his closet. For the record, if I ever hid anything, I'd have done it behind one of the wall plates in my room, not in my closet. My dad checked the closet and said, there's no Xbox here. Now leave before I call the police. The entitled father finally took his son and left. In the end, everything turned out okay. I still have my PlayStation, but I eventually got a new phone and tablet since the old ones were outdated anyway. My phone back then was a 2014 ZTE model, and my tablet was an unbranded one. It's been years, but I'll never forget the day a spoiled kid tried to steal half my electronics and got caught by my dad instead. Story 4. I am a cook by trade and have been working in the industry for nearly 10 years now. This happened roughly a year and a half ago. I would often make grocery runs at the local Whole Foods, which is along my way home. By default, I'm a helpful sort of guy. I'm often in my black chef's coat with a restaurant logo on the shoulders and a name tag on my right chest, sometimes heavily soiled if work was busy, and carrying my knife roll bag on my shoulder. So if people are looking lost in the aisles and they see me, they often ask for advice. Usually, it's people asking about gluten-free products, antioxidant things, and whatnot. I'm more than happy to help. I should note that the cooking staff at that particular Whole Foods wear white coats, not black. One day, after a long shift, I was at Whole Foods picking out flour for pancakes, since the next day would be my day off. Cake flour for soufflé pancakes, if you're interested. An older gentleman asked for my opinion on spices, which are absurdly expensive in supermarkets. I advised him to go to a wholesale store to buy them cheaper and in bulk, rather than spending a fortune on the tiny overpriced bottles. We got into a nice discussion about baking and which flours were best for certain recipes. He left as a happy man. Now, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Cast. Entitled mother, fairly nice looking, but with a terrible attitude. Entitled kid, 6 years old, spoiled beyond reason, and clearly bored. Me, happy to help, but not happy to be yelled at. Manager, nice guy, never saw him again. Assistant manager, he's the manager now. The entitled kid walked up and said, "Hey mister, are you a chef?" I smiled. "Haha, sure I am. What are you gonna make?" "Big fluffy pancakes tomorrow." "What's that on your back?" "Oh, that's my knife set. I carry it with me because they're very expensive, and I don't want anyone to take them when I'm not working." Cue his mother, who had apparently been looking for him. She saw me and her eyes instantly lit up. "Excuse me, can you help me?" she asked. "Sure, what do you need?" I replied. "I'm looking for activated almonds. Do you know where I can get them?" I chuckled a little. "Yeah, but you should know that activated almonds are literally just almonds soaked overnight in water. They don't have any special properties." "Really? That sounds like a scam." "Oh, it really is," I said, still amused. "Then do you know where I can find the pickles?" "They should be by the can section," I said, pointing toward the aisle. "Can you show me?" "Okay, sure." I grabbed my basket filled with flour, eggs, and other items. Honestly, that should have clued her in that I didn't work there. As we reached the shelves, she began bombarding me with questions about the various pickles available. I patiently helped her choose the ones she needed for her sandwiches. While explaining the differences between the types of pickles and how to make them at home, I set my knife bag down against the shelf because my shoulder was aching. The entitled kid, now visibly bored and uninterested in my impromptu pickle lecture, decided to grab my bag and inspect it. "Hey, sorry kid, you can't touch that," I said as I quickly took it back. He looked shocked and scowled at me. "Oh, don't worry about him," his mother said. "My kid is careful. He won't break anything." "That may be true, ma'am, but I'm not risking a child cutting themselves on my knives," I said firmly. "Don't be so selfish. You should be glad my son is taking an interest in your profession," she snapped. "That's great and all, but you should teach your child not to grab a stranger's belongings, especially if they're full of potentially dangerous tools." "Don't tell me how to raise my child. Apologize now." "I'm not going to apologize for stopping your kid from grabbing my bag of knives," I replied calmly. "I want to see them," the kid whined. "Oh, come on," the entitled mother said. "Can't you let him see your knives?" "I'm sorry, ma'am, but these are my personal tools. Taking them out in public would be dangerous and unprofessional." "I'll buy them off of you," she said suddenly. "What?" I asked, confused. "Here, this should be enough." She pulled out $50. "Ma'am, the The chef's knife alone cost me well over $250, and the bag itself is worth at least $50. You're lying, she accused. Believe what you want, I said. I'm not arguing with you. Good day, ma'am. At that point, I was done with the conversation. But she wasn't. She grabbed my knife bag and started demanding that I sell it to her. You don't deserve these, she shouted. Hand them over, or I'll call your manager. At the time, I thought she meant my actual restaurant manager. Go ahead, now let go, I said, tugging my bag back. She let out a strange, screeching sound as I pulled my knife bag free and walked away. About 5 minutes later, I was stopped again by the entitled mother, this time with a very tired-looking store manager. Being somewhat of a regular at that Whole Foods, the staff recognized me. The manager looked surprised. There he is, the woman yelled. I want that man fired and arrested. What? I said. Arrested for what? She told the manager a completely made-up story about me selling her the knives and running off with her money. Ma'am, I said firmly, I told you I wasn't going to sell you my knives, and I don't even work here. She looked at the manager in disbelief. He's right, the manager said, pointing at the restaurant logo on my shoulder. He doesn't work here. He works at a restaurant. The woman made confused, incoherent noises. The manager continued. Also, I asked someone to check the security footage. Just then, the assistant manager came over. I've looked over the tapes, he said. You're lying. He was helping you before your kid grabbed his bag. He warned him off. You offered him money, and he declined. The manager turned to her with a raised eyebrow. Ma'am, you're banned from the store. Please leave. She made a sound reminiscent of a strangled cat before shuffling away in embarrassment. And that was that. I paid for my groceries, went home, and made the fluffiest, softest pancakes known to man the very next day. Later, I got a text from my actual manager asking about a woman who had complained about me and left bad reviews. Needless to say, that was the last we heard from her, for a few weeks anyway, but that's a different story entirely. Story 5. This happened 6 years ago. So let's start. I met this bully in my karate class 7 years ago, and he was a bit friendly to me. He was a belt ahead of me. He was Black Dan first, so I was keen on learning a bit from him too. But I never had to fight him as part of my practice. A year after I joined his school in 6th grade, we were in different divisions, but in school he behaved differently towards me. See, I was a bit chubby then, and no one wanted me as a friend, so I limited my interaction to a few. So he would be very rude to me and shamed me with his friend circle. So one day he boasted that he beat me in karate and that he was the best. He never even fought me, so I confronted him in front of his friends and asked him, how did he defeat me exactly? He was caught off guard, so he said, "Get lost," and wandered off. Later during the lunch break, I finished my lunch fast and set foot on the ground. I saw him alone and seized the opportunity. I punched his guts in. He was hurt, but he charged at me and I used my body weight to counter him and gave a nice punch to his face. His lips were broken, but as soon as I saw a teacher I just ran away. But both of us were never caught. I made sure he wouldn't get me again by making myself available and was around a few friends along the way. Then I knew that he was plotting revenge on my way. He started accusing me of many things like cheating on tests and such. But boy, I was excellent in studies and made a lot of friends because of that, working up my reputation. So I finally got trusted by many friends of Bully, as they now see me as one of their own. Then comes the build-up. I noticed that a friend of mine was behaving a bit differently. He was sometimes bruised and looked very depressed. He wouldn't talk to us. I managed to calm him down and asked what happened after a few days. He told me the reason. The father of this friend was an editor of a prominent newspaper in the state, so he had a lot of money. So the bully and his friends, after finding that out, started to beat him behind the toilets for 2 days. Friend couldn't report it since he didn't have the guts and was afraid. After 2 days, his friends came to him and said that they won't beat him until friend pays 500 rupees daily, which was a bit much. Friend reluctantly agreed and went on paying him, and it had been going around for more than a week, so I knew I had to do something. It was a matter of time until he would turn on me. So I hatched a plan to get maximum dirt on him. After getting inside his friend's circle, I managed to get a lot of personal information on him. I knew his mom and 2 sisters, who were very nice people. I found out that he had a bit of connections with a lot of outsiders, mainly college students, whom he looked to as his own bodyguards. So I got that down and found that he sent some of them to beat up other kids whom he had a beef with earlier. Bully once picked a fight in front of police and ran away without getting out. So I had all the information like these and a lot more, and I waited for the right moment. Then the drop. After 2 weeks or so the moment came. Friend's parents found out that their money was gone, and they finally got the gist of it. Friend admitted that he stole the money, and he told everything. His parents were furious, and they came to school, and then I set off my plan to motion. At the first stage, me and a couple of other friends went to our vice principal, who was a friend of my mom's and was very good towards me, and reported as many incidents as we could. We found evidence that he brought many unsolicited objects to school and provided the evidence one by one. After all this, many students came to their class teachers and reported their encounters with Bully. While the meeting was going on, Bully acted up and was immediately suspended for 3 days, and then later the meeting continued. Bully decided to come after me since I reported, but I was smarter. When he came after me, I quickly ran to the PE teacher, and he saw him and took him to the principal's office immediately. That day someone had gotten hold of his bag and found a mobile phone in it. Phones were not allowed in the school, so he was beyond screwed. So both the friends and the bully's parents came, and then they learned that he had stolen over 15,000 rupees, and he spent about a third on it on his friends. So his friends were called upon, and they all threw him under the bus. His mother burst into tears. The money would be reimbursed to friends' parents. Bully was expelled. Then after a few days I saw him in my karate class, but I informed my sensei about this issue, and he said that he heard many reports about his exploits. So he was called by the senseis, and he got a hell of a scolding. By that he was shamed. I was backed up by other students who were ridiculed or beaten by him in the changing room. So he left the dojo. It was an absolute win. I never saw him again. Edit. I knew I shouldn't have hit him, but I was an idiot back then. Story 6. Just wanted to start off on saying, I'm not sure if this would be considered as revenge, but we will see, I guess. So I live in a duplex in a nice neighborhood, but the people who live upstairs have some sketchy friends. So naturally, I installed a doorbell camera as I like to order online frequently. Well, the other day, I received an early package that I was not expecting to get for another day or so. It was a really busy day in the house too, so I wasn't checking my phone for a couple of hours, and I wasn't waiting on a delivery. Anyway, I checked my phone eventually and saw that I had a few doorbell cam notifications. I checked the footage and it showed the delivery guy dropping off a package, taking photo proof of delivery and walking away. He didn't knock or ring the doorbell. I saw that happen 2 hours before this point. I ran outside and the package wasn't there. I then checked the footage again and it shows that one of the upstairs neighbors, friend's dealer, took the package and drove off with it. His car was parked in front of my door, so I have evidence of this happening. My boyfriend was angry about this, so he went upstairs to confront the neighbors and find out who he was. We reported it to the police with picture evidence since I couldn't send the video because they didn't accept video files on their website. I also pointed out who it was exactly. They called back the next morning to tell us that they couldn't read the license plate number, so this wasn't enough evidence to do anything about it. They offered to call him and ask, but for what? For him to just deny it. So that went nowhere. I also told them that I have actual video footage, but they brushed it off and made it sound like it was just a waste of their time. They didn't care. This is why people don't report packages getting stolen to police. It doesn't help anything, even if you have the evidence. So what did I do? I made a short video on how this guy stole my package, showed the evidence of my package being delivered, the email saying it was delivered at the time stamped on the doorbell cam, and then the guy stealing the package. I posted his face on Facebook at the end of the video, and also posted the video in a couple of groups based on my city with over 11,000 people in them. It got a huge reaction, of course. People were angry that the police were useless in this situation and the fact that this guy is a porch pirate. Then I got a private message from a woman that knew him. She was upset, angry, and shocked. She said that she reached out to him and showed him the post and gave him some tough words. I'm not sure who she was to him, sounded like family. She was sad that he wasn't doing so good again. She made him bring it back right away. So I got my package back within 2 hours of posting that video. I did take it down after I got it and thanked the girl. It's pretty sad that you gotta resort to social media instead of the police to get any help like this quicker too. I had all of the evidence to back it up. When the guy showed up, he looked shook. He really didn't want to be blasted like that, and it sounds like he got in trouble with people around him. The neighbors upstairs probably did too. They had to hear it from my angry boyfriend. He's a big dude. The thief said he felt like a fool and was apologizing and all that, probably going home to get yelled at more. He has children too. It sounds like he is dealing with some stuff in his life, but it still doesn't give him the right to take other people's things. He got lucky with the police. I'm glad I got my package back though. Never thought I would see it again. After I deleted the post, I was thinking maybe blasting him on social media like that and having his family and friends see his face like that would have been worse than the police, because you can always deal with the police behind closed doors and not tell any family and friends who actually care about you, as you would feel like garbage for disappointing them or having to deal with them lecturing you. Especially if you're in a position where you hit rock bottom at one point. Get help and support from people around you, and they are watching you get better, and then slipping again right in front of them. That's gotta be at least a little heavy. But then again with the police, that petty theft would be on your record, which will cause trouble later down the road. Either way, I got my package back, and I hope he gets some help or something. Anyway, I'm not sure if this would be considered revenge or what, because he was definitely humiliated and I got my package back. I hope you enjoyed reading.